I swear, Brandon, you're always late, I teased as he stepped into the kitchen, running a hand through his hair like he didn't have a care in the world. He gave me that half smile, the one that used to make my heart skip, but lately felt like a polite mask. Traffic was a nightmare. You know I'd never be late if I could help it. I shook my head, pretending not to notice the tired lines around his eyes. Right. Because you're such a punctual guy. He shrugged, setting his briefcase down gently, careful not to wake the girls still asleep upstairs. You're impossible. Someone's got to keep you in check, I shot back, smiling but inside. The familiar warmth was already fading. We moved, around each other in the kitchen, like dancers who'd done the routine so many times, it no longer felt special. Brandon poured coffee. I sliced toast. The morning light spilled through the window, but even the sun couldn't brighten the growing dullness in my chest. You remember tonight's dinner plans? I asked, breaking the silence. He nodded without looking up. Parents' anniversary, 7 o'clock. Right. You're picking up the cake. Yeah, the usual. The chocolate one with the whipped cream. Exactly. A pang of irritation tightened inside me. We were stuck in this endless loop. Same conversations, same routines. I swallowed the bitterness. Brandon, do you ever wonder if there's more? He paused, eyes narrowing slightly. More? Like what? Like something different. Something exciting. Something new. He chuckled softly, but it lacked humor. I thought we had everything. Did you? I asked, voice barely above a whisper. He turned to me then, eyes searching. I'm happy, Courtney, aren't you? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe it. But instead, I just looked away. That morning, as the girls ran down the stairs, their laughter ringing through the house, I forced a smile. Morning, Haley. Julia. They greeted me with sleepy hugs, and for a moment, I was grateful. Grateful for this family, this life I'd fought so hard to build. But the gratitude clashed with the restless ache that had settled in my bones. At work later that day, my phone buzzed with a message from Brandon. Meeting ran late, dinner's on me tomorrow. I typed back, okay, love you, and wondered if he really meant it. That night, after the girls were asleep, I caught Brandon staring blankly at the TV. The usual sparkle in his eyes dimmed. Everything okay? I asked cautiously. He shrugged. Just tired. Tired of what? He sighed, running a hand through his hair again. I don't know. Life, maybe. The words hit me harder than I expected. I feel it too, I admitted. Like we're stuck in a loop we can't break out of. He looked at me then, really looked. Do you want to break out? I hesitated. I don't know. I think I do. We sat there in silence, the distance between us suddenly feeling wide and cold. A few days later, I found myself noticing the little things. The way Brandon cleared his throat before answering me. How he checked the locks 3 times before. Bed. The predictable way he responded to everything. It used to be comforting. Now, it felt suffocating. Brandon, I said one evening, why do you always check the doors so many times? He looked surprised. I guess I like to be sure. Sure of what? That we're safe. I nodded, but the safety felt like a cage. One night, I caught myself staring at him across the dinner table, wondering if this was all there was for the next 30 years. Is this really it? I whispered to myself. I never said it out loud. How could I? When friends asked how we kept our marriage so strong after all these years, I smiled and said, we just work at it. But inside, I was unraveling. The predictability that once felt secure had turned into a silent prison. And I was starting to wonder if the life I built was actually the life I wanted, because deep down, I was restless and I was scared. Hey, Courtney, do you want to grab a coffee after the meeting? Eric asked, his smile easy and genuine. I blinked, surprised. Sure, why not? It wasn't like me to say yes to anything outside the office, but something about him made it feel less risky, less complicated. As we walked to the cafe, he talked about a project we were assigned together. I really like how you handled the client's concerns last week. You know your stuff. Thanks, I said, trying not to sound too eager. I've been doing this a long time. He laughed, eyes bright. Clearly, but you also make it look effortless. I caught myself, smiling back, a warmth spreading that surprised me. I told myself it was just friendly conversation, but deep down, I felt something stir, something I hadn't felt in years. Later at my desk, my phone buzzed. A message from Eric. Great coffee. Let's do it again sometime. I hesitated before typing back. Sounds good. Every time I saw him, I felt lighter, more alive. I started looking forward to our chats more than I should. One afternoon, he asked, "Want to grab lunch tomorrow? There's a new place downtown." I bit my lip. I don't know. Brandon and I usually eat together. He nodded, understanding. Just a work thing. No pressure. I agreed. The next day, sitting across from him, I realized how much I missed. Feeling seen. Not as a wife, not as a mum, but as me. He caught me staring once. You okay? Yeah, just surprised. By what? How easy this feels. He smiled softly. Maybe you deserve that. I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe I deserved something more than the stale predictability waiting for me at home. One evening, after a late meeting, he said, "Want to go over those numbers one more time at my office?" I hesitated. It's late. I know, but it's quieter. I nodded, my heart pounding. Inside his office, the tension shifted. We worked side by side, the silence thick with unspoken words. When I reached for the same file, our hands brushed. Electric. I pulled back, startled. Sorry, he said, eyes darkening. No, it's okay, I whispered, breathless. We didn't speak for a moment, just stared at each other, the air charged. I shouldn't be doing this, I finally said. Neither should I, he replied. But neither of us moved away. Then, slowly, he reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. That night, walking to my car, guilt clawed at me. What are you doing? I asked myself. But when I closed my eyes, I saw his face, felt his touch. Days passed in a blur. I tried to push the feelings down, but every time Eric smiled, laughed, or simply looked at me, the walls I built around my heart cracked. One afternoon, he sent a message. Lunch tomorrow? Maybe somewhere quieter. I didn't reply immediately. When I finally texted back, okay. The next day, the quiet restaurant felt like a secret refuge. You're different with me, he said, eyes searching. Am I? I asked, heart racing. Yeah, you smile, you laugh. You're not Courtney the wife or Courtney the mum. You're just you. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe I wasn't doing anything wrong. Later, walking back to my car, I told myself it was harmless, that I wasn't betraying Brandon. But then I caught myself wondering if I wanted to. One night, he called. I'm working late. Want to come by? Eric, I don't think, please. I hesitated, then said, okay. His apartment was warm and quiet. We talked at first. Work, life, regrets. Then suddenly, his hand was on mine. Are you sure about this? He asked softly. I swallowed hard. No. But I don't want to stop. The first time we crossed the line was electric and terrifying. I felt like I was falling, and I wasn't sure if someone was catching me. Afterward, I lay awake, heart pounding. What have you done? I whispered to myself. But the thrill lingered, mixing with the guilt and confusion. Brandon's face flashed in my mind. Tired, distant, unaware. I wanted to stop, to tell him everything. But I was too scared. scared of losing everything, scared of losing myself. Days turned into secret meetings and stolen moments. Each time I told myself it was just for me, for a part of me I'd lost. But the truth gnawed at me. I was betraying the life we built. One afternoon, Eric smiled and said, "You're not alone anymore." For a moment, I believed him. For a moment, I forgot the mess I was creating. But deep down, I knew the spark I didn't expect was also a fire I couldn't control. "I can't believe you're still here," I whispered into the phone, my voice barely audible. Eric chuckled softly. "You love it. Don't lie." I sighed, running my fingers through my hair. "This isn't right." He paused. "Nothing about us is supposed to be right, Courtney." I swallowed hard. "I know, but every time I'm with you I feel alive." "Good," he said, "because that's what matters." I glanced at the clock, 11:30 p.m., and my heart pounded. I should go. Already? His voice was a mix of disappointment and longing. "I have a life to fake." Sounds exhausting. It is. Hanging up, I stared at my reflection in the mirror. 2 lives, 2 faces, neither fully mine. Later that night, Brandon's voice echoed from the living room. "Courtney." "Yeah?" I called back, forcing. "Calm. Did you check the locks?" His tone was clipped, almost cold. I did. My stomach twisted. 3 times? I hesitated. "Yes." Silence. "You're not the only one feeling uneasy." I wanted to ask what he meant, but held my tongue. Next day, texts from Eric flooded my phone. "Lunch? Meeting after work?" "Can't wait to see you," I replied with carefully crafted lies. "Busy. Got plans?" At work, Eric caught my eye and smiled. My pulse quickened. One afternoon, Brandon stood behind me in the kitchen. "You've been distant." "I'm just tired." He didn't believe me. "Is there someone else?" he asked quietly. "No," I lied. His eyes searched mine, pain flickering. "I'm sorry," I whispered. He shook his head. "Sorry doesn't cut it." Days passed in silence. I hid in my office, texting Eric under the table. "Why do you keep doing this?" I asked myself. "Because I'm selfish. Because I'm lost." Brandon's suspicion grew, but he said nothing. The silence between us was louder than words. One night, he left the dinner table without a word. I sat there, heartbreaking, knowing I was the cause. Eric's messages were my only escape. "Meet me," he insisted. I wanted to say no, but didn't. At the hotel, we stole moments between meetings, desperate and reckless. "I don't want to lose you," he said. I laughed bitterly. "You already have me. The double life drained me." Yet I clung to it. At home, Brandon packed his briefcase without looking at me. "Do you even love me anymore?" I whispered. He paused. "I don't know who you are." The truth stung. I was someone I didn't recognize. One night, alone in the dark, I cried. Not for him, not for me, for the life I shattered. The bathroom door creaked, and I heard Brandon's voice, low and steady. "Courtney?" I froze, shampoo in my hair, heart pounding. He stepped inside, holding my phone. His face was pale, eyes cold. "Is this yours?" I swallowed. "Yes." He unlocked it, and there it was. A message from Eric. "Still thinking about last night. Can't wait to see you tomorrow." His voice didn't rise. It didn't shatter. "How long?" he asked quietly. I shook my head, unable to speak. "Answer me." I don't know." "You don't know?" Tears pricked my eyes. "It was a mistake." He looked at me like I'd confessed to a crime. "A mistake?" "I didn't mean for it to happen." His eyes darkened, disappointment heavier than any anger. "You knew what it meant." I was lonely. We what? I bit my lip, voice trembling. We connected. Connected! His voice cracked like a whip. You cheated on me. I'm sorry, I whispered. He sat on the edge of the bathtub, staring at the floor. I'm broken, Courtney. Please, I begged. I'll fix this. I'll do anything. He finally looked up, expression unreadable. It's not about fixing anymore. The silence that followed was suffocating. The next day, HR called. Courtney, we're terminating your employment due to violation of company policy. I blinked. I understand. Eric was fired too. I cleared my desk in a daze. Brandon didn't speak when I got home. The house felt colder, emptier. Can we talk? I ventured. He shook his head. Not now. Days passed with no words, just quiet avoidance. One night, I found him in the guest room, door closed. Brandon. No answer. I sat outside, tears falling silently. Our daughters noticed. Mom, what's wrong? Haley asked softly. I forced a smile. Nothing, honey. But inside, everything was falling apart. Brandon and I sat at opposite ends of the couch, the distance palpable. I don't know if I can forgive you, he said finally. I'll prove I'm sorry, I replied desperately. He sighed. Sorry isn't enough. One evening he handed me an envelope. Divorce papers. My breath caught. Is this really happening? Yes. I felt like the ground was shifting beneath me. I love you, I whispered. His eyes were distant. I don't know who you are anymore. That night I cried alone, mourning the life I destroyed. Courtney, you're late again. Brandon's voice was flat, the way it had been for months now. I'm sorry, I said, fumbling with my purse. Therapy ran over. He didn't respond, just nodded and turned away. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Brandon, can we talk? He glanced back briefly. Not now. The girls are here. The door closed behind him, and the silence crashed over me. I sank onto the couch, clutching the little note I'd left on his pillow this morning. I'm trying. Please see that. Later, Haley peeked into the living room. Mum, dinner's ready. I smiled weakly. Thanks, sweetheart. When Julia joined us, Brandon's eyes softened for a moment, but the warmth didn't reach his lips. Can we eat? Julia asked, glancing between us. Yeah, Brandon said. Let's eat. The conversation was forced, stilted. I watched. Brandon's hands, so familiar, yet distant, and felt like a ghost in my own home. At night, I sat alone, scrolling through messages from Eric's number I hadn't deleted. I'd promised myself I'd erase them, but I hadn't. Why was I still holding on to ghosts? The therapist's office felt cold. How are you feeling today? The counselor asked. Broken, I admitted. Empty. She nodded. And Brandon? Distant. He barely looks at me unless the girls are around. Have you talked about your feelings with him? I shook my head. I try, but he shuts down. Sometimes silence is louder than words. I left the session heavier than when I arrived. One night, desperate, I blurted out, Brandon, what if we tried an open marriage? Maybe it would help. He froze, eyes narrowing. An open marriage? His voice was sharp. You want permission to cheat? No, I said quickly. I just thought. You thought what? That I'd be okay with this? That it would fix everything? I'm trying to be honest. He shook his head, disgust clear. Honest? You think this is about honesty? It's about respect. I'm sorry. No more talks about this. No threesomes, no open relationships. Say that. Again, and I'm gone. The finality in his tone hit me like a punch. I realized how wrong I'd been, how little I understood the man I once loved. The next day, I found Brandon helping Haley with homework. Hey, Dad. She smiled. He smiled back, but I noticed the distance in his eyes. I approached him cautiously. Can we talk? He sighed. What is there to say? I'm trying. I'm scared. Scared of what? Losing you. He looked at me, expression softening momentarily. Maybe you already did. I fought back tears. I'm still here. Physically, yes, but not really. I sat alone. That night, the house silent, except for my racing thoughts. I thought about the promises I'd broken, the lies I told myself. Am I selfish? I wondered. Naive? Or just broken? The more I tried to fix things, the more I felt hollow. Brandon's presence was a constant reminder of my failures, but I clung to the hope that maybe, just maybe, there was a way back, a way to heal. For now, I'm left with silence, regret, and the haunting question, is love enough to fix what's shattered? Brandon, are you coming to dinner? I asked, setting plates on the table. He didn't look up from his phone. I'm working late. Again? I sighed. He shrugged. They just promoted me. Lots of new responsibilities. I forced a smile. That's great. But inside, bitterness churned. He was building a life without me. Later, Julia glanced my way. Mom, Dad seems different lately. I nodded. He's under a lot of pressure. She frowned. He barely talks to you anymore. Sometimes people get distant, honey. Haley joined, scrolling through her phone. College is a fresh start. I wanted to scream, wanted to hold on to what we had. One afternoon, I found Brandon's jacket left behind, smelled faintly of someone else. Brandon? I asked later. Who's Rebecca? He looked away. A colleague. A colleague. Yes. I felt the sting of betrayal sharpen. Are you dating her? No, but the silence said otherwise. At Julia's tennis match, I saw them together, laughing, holding hands. I wanted to disappear. That night, I confronted him. Are you happy? He paused. I'm trying to be. Without me, he didn't answer. The girls looked at us like strangers at dinner, whispering questions we never answered. One morning, Haley called from college. Mum, Dad's new place is nice. He seems happy. My heart cracked. Are you okay? Julia asked softly. I'm fine, I lied. I sat alone in the empty house, memories hanging on every wall. I thought about all I'd lost. Brandon's silence was louder than any fight. Watched from the sidelines as my family moved on without me. Regret became my constant companion. Sometimes I caught Brandon looking at me. No anger, no love, just emptiness. I realized I was losing everything I once cherished, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Courtney, we need to talk. Brandon's voice was calm but firm. I looked up from the dishes, heart pounding. Okay. He sat down, eyes steady. I filed for divorce. The words hit me like a blow. What? It's over. No more games. No more second chances. I swallowed hard. Brandon, please. We can fix this. He shook his head. I've started a new life. A new life? The pain cut deep. With who? Rebecca. I closed my eyes, trying to hold back tears. How long? A few months. I couldn't breathe. But the girls, they deserve stability. So do I. I still love you. He looked away. Love isn't enough anymore. I wanted to scream, to beg, but my voice caught. Do you hate me? I whispered. No. He paused. I'm tired of betrayal. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. He sighed. Sorry doesn't erase the past. Can't we try counseling? Therapy? He shook his head. I've tried. I felt broken, exposed. What did I do wrong? You stopped being honest. You stopped being you. I was scared. I didn't want to lose us. But you did. I looked at him, desperate. Is there any hope? He hesitated. Not like before. I clenched my fists. I wish I could take it back. Me too. The room grew heavy with silence. I fantasize about revenge sometimes, I admitted. About making you feel the pain I feel. He smiled sadly. That won't heal anything. Then what? Acceptance. I shook my head. I don't know if I can. He reached out. You're stronger than you think. I'm afraid. Good. Fear means you still care. I miss the man you were, and I miss the woman you were. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Can we be those people again? No. But maybe we can be better people, apart. I nodded slowly, the truth settling in. We had a life once, he said softly. I'll cherish it. Me too. He stood, preparing to leave. Will, you forgive me someday? He paused. I've forgiven you. For my peace. For your peace, I echoed. He smiled faintly. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's moving on. He walked to the door. Goodbye, Courtney. I sat alone, the weight of failure crushing me. Morning, Courtney, my neighbour called as I stepped outside, keys in hand. Morning, I replied, forcing a smile that felt fragile. I paused, taking a deep breath of the crisp air. This house felt too big now, too quiet. Later, I sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by unopened boxes. The silence was different, less suffocating, more hopeful. My phone buzzed, a text from Haley. Thinking of you. Love you, Mum. I stared. At the words, warmth blooming despite the ache inside. I typed back, love you too. Stay safe. That afternoon, I called my therapist. Progress? She asked gently. Slow, I admitted. But it's something. Healing isn't linear. It's messy and painful. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I'm learning to be alone without feeling empty. Good. You're reclaiming yourself. In the evening, I looked at old photos, wedding, birthdays, vacations, memories both bitter and sweet. I whispered, I lost us, but maybe I can find me. The phone rang. Brandon. I hesitated, then answered. Hi? He said softly. Hi, I replied. Hope you're doing okay. As okay as can be. Me too. We talked about the girls, college plans, the future. No anger, no blame. Just shared history. After hanging up, I felt a strange peace. A weight lifted. I wasn't her anymore, the wife who made mistakes. I was someone new, stronger, wiser, ready to move forward. The path ahead was uncertain, scary, but it was mine, and for the first time in a long time, I was hopeful.